Hey everyone, Jen with RentScale. I am back at you with another scoreboard update from our Scale Club community. We've seen a lot of interesting things take place over the last month, and I can't wait to dive into some of the industry trends and some of the ways in which we're helping BDMs overcome the challenges, but also grasp some of the opportunities that are out there. But before I dive into the good stuff, I want to give a huge shout out to our community of BDMs who closed just over 1,000 doors in Q3 of 2023. We are so proud of everyone in our community, but to think that 1,000 doors was closed in our community is such an awesome accomplishment. And so we want to congratulate all of our BDMs, but we also want to thank you for the energy, the effort, the willingness to not give in, and the willingness to try new things and adapt to the ever-changing market. So thank you for that. And without further ado, you guys, I will get into the scoreboard for September. So as I hinted just a few seconds ago, we saw some interesting stuff happen in September, and I can't wait to walk you through what we saw and how we're working with BDMs to make sure that we're leveraging as much as we can in a little bit different of a market than we've seen in the last year and a half. As you will remember, in August, we reported our average number of doors for all members at 9. Currently in September, it is at 7. And I expect that we might actually see that either stabilize or potentially even drop based on what we're hearing from our community for October. It's interesting to see that we saw a 36% drop overall. However, if you look at our top performing BDMs, so the top 50% of people in club, we reported out August at 15. In September, they're at 14, so only a 1 door drop and down just slightly. All of this is really interesting when you really look at the number below it, which is 19. So our lead volume for August was 28 average leads per BDM for the month. That's almost a 50% drop that we saw from August to September. So we've been having a lot of conversations in our community about how if the leads are not coming in, what do we do to continue closing business? Something I think is really awesome to point out is the fact that leads dropped 50%, but only 36% in closed doors and only 5% amongst our top performers. There's a trend there to pay attention to and some different things that our top performing BDMs are doing that's keeping them up and keeping their business growing even when leads are down. Interesting because in skill dev, what we talked about in August was how we leverage everything we can and make the last quarter as strong as possible. Our skill dev was titled MVP, and it was all about how to do different things in a changing market that are going to continue to elevate you and continue to help you win deals. So what do we do in a market that is starting to fall backwards? We innovate, we think differently, and we start to challenge status quo. That's what skill dev was all about. So MVP, the M was all about the different metrics that you put out there for the industry. What is it that you're telling and what's the story you're telling and how are you telling it? It matters. The V was all about video. How are we using video to connect with people a little bit deeper and bring the human element into our selling? And then the P was all about the people. It's all about the customer experience and the way that they are seeing your company. So we talked a little bit about how to highlight holidays and how to use video to highlight holidays and different strategies to stand out when we see a huge slide back in the number of leads that are happening in the marketplace right now. And we did still have some top leaders that I'm really excited to share. Chicago, Illinois has been at the top of our leaderboard for the last 3 months. Same BDM. As I've said in previous recordings, he does some multifamily and some single family residential. He still closed 34 doors, which was down from his 60 that he accomplished in August. We've got Memphis, Tennessee coming in at 23 with an increase in the number of doors that he actually signed. We have our very first Canadian on the map this month, and we were happy to report 20 doors up in Canada. We've got Eugene, Oregon also coming in at 20 doors. Really interesting story about this BDM. Most of the leads that he has and the doors he closed are self-generated. Talk about a true business development professional. It's this guy out in Eugene, Oregon. And then rounding out the top, we've got Fort Myers, Florida at a great 13 doors, up from her previous month in August. Total of 297 doors, which is down from the doors that we saw in August, just like I've reported with everything else in this scoreboard. Now, percent to goal. So this is, we forecast with our BDMs every single quarter how many of them are actually achieving their forecasted goals. 76% of our community is currently achieving their forecasted goals for September. That's it for this week's scoreboard update. I can't wait to be back at you in a couple of weeks with the numbers for October and to share with you our focus in Scale Club. I will tell you, we're going to have a really exciting skill dev, and it's going to be all about game film review. So how do we make the most out of our discovery calls? How do we do after action reviews? And pay attention to where we're really doing well and where we need to improve. With the leads down, we've got to make sure that with every single person that's coming to us, our sales process and the key language that we use is on point. So that's going to be a huge focus across our community. I also want to let you guys know, if you haven't heard already, you might be living under a rock, but our sales mastery event is coming up on December 4th, and this year we're hosting it in Austin. We would love to see both owners and BDMs there. We've got a really, really special day planned where we're going to be workshopping and you guys are really going to be in the weeds. So salesmastery.live, those ticket prices go up at the end of October, and we are really hoping to see a record number of people there. I know that it's going to be super impactful for you. So salesmastery.live. And I'll be back at you at the end of October with another scoreboard update. Back to you, Jeremy.